Welcome back, Omnibuds. My name's Kevin, and today we're going to dig into Daredevil by Ed Brubaker and Michael Lark. This is Omnibus Volume 2 and the end of the Brubaker era. I can't wait to get into it. Grab your cup of coffee, and let's check out this book. All right, here we have Daredevil by Ed Brubaker. Most of the art done by Michael Lark. It's like the other one, it's a very thin omnibus. I think there's only 17 issues in this sucker, but it's 17 really good issues, collecting Daredevil 106 through 119, and then the landmark 500th issue, and an annual. But let's get the dust jacket off this because we are not animals. All right, here it is without a dust jacket and a really cool wraparound cover that I absolutely love, with Daredevil and Wilson Fisk fighting the Hand. So let's get into this. So again, this is entirely done by Ed Brubaker. Greg Rucka did step in and write a couple panels. Most of the art done by Michael Lark. And a lot of covers done by some really talented people and some other artists here you can see. But let's dig into this. So where the hell are we? We pick up immediately where Volume 1 left off. Matt Murdock is out of prison. The FBI has cleared his name / ended the probe into him being Daredevil, but not everyone is convinced. In fact, most people are still not necessarily convinced. So, throughout this, you've still got Matt kind of protecting his identity as Daredevil versus the lawyer of Hell's Kitchen. In addition, without giving away spoilers, Volume 1 left off with the Mr. Fear arc, and something happened to Mila, Matt Murdock's wife from the Bendis era, or the Bendis run, and something happens to her, and Matt's pretty depressed about it, takes a lot of the blame. So that kind of runs throughout here, and Mila's condition will show up throughout this book. So to kind of get Matt out of this funk, the PI, private investigator that's working with Foggy and Matt, her name is Dakota North. She asks Matt to help out with this death row inmate who they believe to be innocent. He's 5 or 6 days away from, being killed. And she thinks this will help Matt kind of get out of his funk. So as Matt's investigating this guy, he kind of uncovers this cover-up involving the FBI, the CIA, and this crime boss who we've seen in Daredevil's past, but his name's Eric Slaughter. And he has really benefited from the disappearance of Wilson Fisk. And that kind of ties back into Volume 1 of the Brubaker era, where we see Matt get out of prison and, something happens between him and Wilson Fisk that turns out, blah, 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 blah. I can't speak today. Wilson Fisk disappears for a little while. During this event, I think you saw it here, and, it's not a spoiler, but Dakota North is shot during this investigation as Matt's kind of slowly turning the pages on this cover-up that's got government agencies working with that Eric Slaughter crime boss. So the next story we get into, and let's see if we get a cover for it here. So we've got an annual, and we get this really cool story with Daredevil and Carlos La Muerto, the Black Tarantula. And the Black Tarantula has kind of gone back and forth between decent guy to bad guy. Well, they had a run-in in prison, and the Black Tarantula is getting out of prison. And Matt wants to kind of reform him and help him be on the up and up. And as a lot of times when, someone gets out of prison, they're sucked back into a world that they previously knew. And I really love the annual. And I forget who did the art on this, but I don't think it was Michael Lark, but it's really cool art. So the next story we get into, and I'm going to go fast here because I want to grab the cover if I didn't already pass it. I don't think I did. Bear with me, Omnibuds. And hey, while we're at it, if you like the content that we put out, the reviews, the unboxings, we just started getting into trailer reactions. Please hit that subscribe button. It lets us know that people are enjoying what we're putting out there. So, come on. Okay, here we go. So, issue 111, we're introduced to this new villain, and she goes by the name Lady Bullseye. Now, she has no relation to the Bullseye that we know and, maybe some love. But at some point in her life, she was kind of inspired by seeing Bullseye in action. So Lady Bullseye is working for the Hand at this time. And if you kind of know what's going on in the Marvel Universe around this time or slightly before this, the Hand's previous leader was found out to be a Skrull. And that all happened in the pages of Secret Invasion. So the Hand is looking for a new leader. They're kind of a broken organization at this point, but they want a new leader. And maybe Matt would be a good leader. Maybe the Iron Fist would be a good leader. But this Lady Bullseye, who is absolutely almost as deadly as our Bullseye, is helping the Hand search for their next leader. And maybe it's the Black Tarantula. We also get to see what is her name? The new White Tiger show up in this. So, like I said, in this entire arc, this Lady Bullseye arc, we see Matt team up with a kind of reformed Carlos Lamuerto, the Black Tarantula. We get to see more of the new White Tiger, which is Angela Del Toro, and I think we saw her take over the powers of, I think it was her uncle or her father in the Bendis run. And we get this really cool team up. It's always awesome to see, specifically Iron Fist, team up with Matt Murdock. So as, this story kind of continues into the next arc. And again, I'm going to try to go fast so I can find a cover for y'all. But it bleeds into where the hell is Wilson Fisk? Here we get more Iron Fist and Lady Bullseye. But again, like I mentioned earlier, Wilson Fisk is absent during this. Something happened in the first book when they left prison. Wilson Fisk is gone. And it turns out he is in, and look at that cover. Isn't that fantastic? Wilson Fisk is in, I think, Spain or something like that, trying to live a new life, right? And trying to find a new way forward. Well, kind of like Carlos Lamuerto, your past doesn't always leave you. So Wilson Fisk finds this woman, a single mother, and they don't really say, but I think there's some romance involved. Look at this art right here. Isn't it fantastic? Really cool. This was a really cool issue. Return of the King. So we learn kind of what's going on in Spain and what will eventually bring him back to Hell's Kitchen. So the rest of this book, I think there's 3 or 4 issues left, we see Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk agree to work together to take down the Hand. But throughout this, Fisk secretly has other ideas, other plans. And to help him enact these plans, Wilson Fisk breaks out some people from prison. We get to see the Owl return. I think the Owl's a really cool villain. He's easy to beat up on. He's pretty nasty in his own right. But Daredevil usually just beats the crap out of him. So here he is getting out of prison. So what are the plans here? And we see Dakota North get abducted by the Owl. And what Matt slowly learns is that Wilson Fisk was kind of two-timing him. And without giving away the ending, because this is going to lead straight into Shadowland, so I probably won't page too much further. But Matt learns what Wilson Fisk's plans actually are with the Hand. And Matt's kind of forced into making this last-minute decision, again, that I don't want to spoil, but it's going to kind of change him as a character as we go into the next arc, which is, again, Daredevil Shadowland. So, again, without giving away too much, let's flip forward and check out some of the extras. Alex Ross variant cover on 500. Gabriel Del Otto, I love his work. Usually painted. We get some other covers. David Mack, who did an arc with Brian Michael Bendis in his run, John Romita Sr. So just some really cool stuff. But yeah, that is Daredevil by Ed Brubaker and Michael Lark, Volume 2. So Daredevil. I reviewed the Brian Michael Bendis run a few months back. I'll put a little image of it here so you can go check that out. And then a few weeks ago, I reviewed Brubaker Volume 1. And my history with Daredevil is that I never read him as a kid. I was never a Daredevil fan. But I'm a big Brian Michael Bendis fan and a big Ed Brubaker fan. So I decided to get both runs. And I got to say, I absolutely love Daredevil now. And maybe it's just that Bendis and Brubaker did such a good job with this, but this one was fantastic. One of my favorite things about Daredevil, and hopefully this is true of the other books, is that Daredevil doesn't cross over that much with the larger universe. If you think about the Bendis and Brubaker run, you know, there was Avengers Disassembled, Civil War, Secret Invasion, and Daredevil, maybe because Matt Murdock as a person just doesn't like getting involved with the big superheroic things. In fact, he's refused to join S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past. He's refused to join the Avengers in the past. He likes taking care of Hell's Kitchen, and so he's kind of isolated from the rest of the universe. So you don't have to understand what's going on in the larger 616 or what events are going on. And I really like that about Daredevil. Things are mentioned, so you kind of understand where we are. You know, they mention Civil War and they mention the Superhero Registration Act. Specifically, this book, they mention, you know, what happened in Secret Invasion. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But yeah, I'm a big Daredevil fan. They turned me. One thing I see a lot or hear a lot about these two runs is who did it better, right? Some people say, yeah, great stuff, but Bendis's was way better. Bendis's was historic. And some people think Brubaker did better. Well, I see it a little bit differently. I don't really see them as separate runs. It's 4 omnibuses, but if you think about it, all 4 of them are pretty tiny. It's really just 2 regular sized omnibuses. And I felt like the things that Bendis set up in his run were carried out or expanded upon in the Brubaker run. In fact, and I mentioned it on my review of Brubaker #1, is that Bendis, when he was leaving the title to fully get into the new Avengers space, he petitioned Marvel saying, we have to give this to Ed Brubaker. There's a really cool, it's an introduction, or maybe it's in the extras or something, of him telling Marvel, we have to give this to Brubaker, who at the time hadn't done a lot at Marvel. He had done a lot for DC and his independent stuff. So I see this run as one complete run. Bendis picks up on the threads, or Brubaker, picks up on the threads that Bendis left, and executes really well upon them. You know, we had the unmasking of Daredevil, the prison, the marriage, you know, a lot of those threads carried into Brubaker's run. And to me, it just seems like one entire story, one complete story done by a team of writers. The other thing that I absolutely like about these 2 runs that, you know, I see as one is the artist team. So Bendis had Alex Maleev on most of his art. There was some guest artists, of course. And then Brubaker had Michael Lark. And I think Michael Lark's one of the best to ever do it. His art's fantastic. Alex Maleev's art was fantastic. The Brubaker Bendis stuff, I think, should be in print forever. I think every comic book fan should read it. I think even if you were not into superhero books, I think people could get into this book. So absolutely loved it. The next book is Shadowland. I don't have that one, so I'll have to seek that out. And then we get into the Mark Waid era, which I also don't have. I'll have to seek that out, but I've got a lot of books to read, so I'm not super worried about it. But yeah, they converted me. I'm a Daredevil fan for life now. Really excited to read more of the character. I need to get the Frank Miller stuff, which is going for way too much money right now, but hopefully we get reprints. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you thought of the Brubaker run on Daredevil. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, Cafe.
If you're looking for great deals on collected edition comics or manga, we recommend shopping at panelboundcomics.com. They offer free shipping on orders over $30, plus bundled discounts to help you save even more. And if you're shopping from Europe or the UK, comicsbugle.com offers free EU shipping and a rewards program for regular buyers. Don't forget to use our discount codes at checkout.